Brett when he made this movie.
Thank you all for coming out here. This is just a really, really beautiful place to show a movie, and it's really quite an honor to be here at Ann Arbor.
Can you believe how amazing your movie is?
No, I could not, actually.
It's unbelievable. It's like a $50,000 projector they use.
Yes, and yeah, that's Tom and Kent and Dan who run the projection booth up there.
Tom Gray must be dead. So, I don't know how much.
Yeah, what happened tonight is totally state of the art, like in the world.
Word.
In the world.
And I do want to thank Kristen and Don and everyone else here at the festival. I felt very welcome, so thank you very much.
Welcome this fine Canadian gentleman. I'm one of the guys that's in Negative Land, and we've been doing this kind of work for 30 years. And when we were sued in the early 90s, we all thought that someday, we kind of envisioned that this kind of thing would eventually grow and grow and grow, get bigger and bigger, because we could tell that these issues would never go away. And that it's come to this now, this type of film, and I just got asked to speak in Washington, D.C. to congressmen and senators and stuff. It's pretty crazy and pretty amazing. But it's unstoppable enough that they're having to finally, they don't want to deal with it, but they have to deal with it. The RIAA's even stopped suing people because I think they've been so publicly shamed that they just sort of, they've backed off, yeah. And obviously, like when I was growing up, Native Land and people like Dan O'Neill were very much an inspiration to kind of keep doing what we wanted to do, to keep remixing. And actually, Mark sort of had this quote for me, which is to live your life as if these laws don't exist, and to keep doing what you want to do. And I took a lot of comfort from that, and also from Dan O'Neill, who couldn't be here with us tonight, but he is with us, sort of. If you'll reach under your seats, if you guys want to just stand up, seriously, stand up. Look under your seats, just pull them up, and some of you guys have now been made honorary members of the Mouse Liberation Front, which I wanted to do for all of you, but unfortunately I didn't know this was a huge, massive, amazing theater, so only some of you, but I got a whole bunch of cards, so you guys are now members of the Mouse Liberation Front, so there you go.
No.
To explain what that means, 001 is Dan O'Neill, 77 is me, and the other numbers I drew upstairs with the help of some of these lovely film volunteers, so I guess we should just ask if anyone has any questions.
I know you do. Yes.
I really like this movie. I think there's one major flaw. I think you're conflating two issues here. And one is like people who are just downloading music for their own personal use. Like somebody, for instance, downloads Metallica to just play back for their own enjoyment. And then there's people who make something out of music, like Girl Talk. I think, in my opinion, the fair use doctrine should be altered in a way that allows people who make collages and mashups to be protected. But on the other hand, I don't understand what that has to do with people who are just making copies of music and not paying for it.
So the question was, how come we talk about the issues of file sharing as well as remix, basically within the same film? And this is something that often comes up in talking about this type of work. And the basic answer to that is it is the same in that these corporations want to have a toll at every single cultural opportunity. There are no cultural transactions that can exist without a toll being attached, and that's sort of what we wanted to talk about in the film. I don't know if you had any thoughts about that, about the similarities between. The question is a very good one, is that it's conflating a number of different issues. Also in the film, which it doesn't describe it quite enough, but you'd have to make like a 5-hour movie. But there's trademark law, copyright law, patent law. They're actually different. The way they're written is different. The way they're litigated is different. The case with the nursery school with the Disney characters, I believe that was a trademark issue, not copyright. And they're different the way that they're handled. So it can get a little bit confusing, and sometimes people can mix them up. But my sense of the film is that you were trying to kind of just open up this much broader idea for discussion and dialogue, that all of this stuff, it is connected, and it is all kind of, it is all out of control. Yeah.
Would you say?
Yes, that's the.
It's all right.
Is there any other questions? Lots.
Right here, please.
Oh, okay.
I'm a left member right now. Yes.
I uploaded a film in high school. I made a film for a high school class, and it used a Weezer song, and it is now currently blocked from YouTube. And I was wondering, why would like YouTube block movies that just use songs that I'm not making any profit? It was just for a class.
He used a Weezer song on a video and uploaded it on YouTube.
It wasn't my
And it's blocked.
Yeah, and so this is actually one of the scarier aspects of the sort of recent developments in the whole copy fight is that, YouTube, Facebook, all this has software built in that actually your content passes through a filter to check whether it has copyright infringement. It'll take it down. I did a mashup workshop in Montreal with 10-year-olds, and they mixed the White Stripes with SpongeBob SquarePants. And it was really fun, and they did it in like an hour, and they were really proud of it, and they put it on Facebook, and immediately it was taken down. And that's like a clearly positive thing, that they were interacting with their culture, and they were being creative. But then, these laws step in. And I think that sort of answers one of the gentleman's other questions, is that these laws that are to clamp down on peer-to-peer file sharing are actually having this really accidental effect on this emerging creativity. So I don't think you can completely separate the issues. So that's why, because there is this sense of control.
Yes.
You can claim fair use. YouTube is relying on automated systems, and it's actually pretty easy to get your sound back. You just gotta be bold enough to do it. Claim fair use, go through it. Within half a week, it'll be back up, because they're relying on software, not humans.
Yeah. So,
In my case, I'd rather see you take that Weezer song and cut it up and rearrange it and transform it and make it even more artful. And in which case, then their software isn't going to work. Be arty.
So in an ideal world for artists like yourself and for Girl Talk, would you want to see no copyright laws or much more limited than they are right now?
Question is, do you want to see more no copyright laws or?
yeah, and I don't think that anybody, I can't speak for Mark, but as far as myself, I don't want to suggest that there's no copyright. I just want to point out that it's really out of control in terms of its length, the terms of copyright, and the breadth of discourse that it covers. So, I think there's sort of three things that need to happen. One is that kind of the amateur creativity that happens on YouTube should be just deregulated. Copyright law shouldn't apply to the stuff that he was talking about. Just shouldn't apply there. The other thing is that peer-to-peer file sharing should be decriminalized. And there needs to be mechanisms put in place for pools of money to be collected and then redistributed back to artists, similar to what's done with radio. I think we tax the internet service providers easily. I'm Canadian, so taxes. And the third thing is, Girl Talk has always said that if there was a system in place where he could pay a blanket license, so that a portion proceeds of his album would go to pay off all those people, he would totally buy into that. But the process, like we showed in the film, is you have to ask permission first, and they're not going to give it to you, and they're going to ask for thousands and thousands of dollars up front. So the system doesn't work. So, do you think that there should be no copyright on anything?
No, I pretty much agree with you that I think the idea of copyright's a bad idea. We just need to bring it kicking and screaming into this century. And to some degree, I'd love to go at least back to the 14 years would be fine. Here's something I mentioned the night I gave my presentation, but here's something to think about. When copyright lasted for 14 years, Mark Twain, who was mentioned in your film, he hated this because all of his books were coming into the public domain while he was alive. He traveled around the country trying to lobby for extending copyright law. He was very active in that. Well, here's the thing. It encouraged him to write a lot more books. If the copyrighted Catcher in the Rye had disappeared after 14 years, what do you think it would have lit a fire under the ass of J.D. Salinger to write a lot more amazing and wonderful books for all of us to read?